Welcome back to another World Ablaze. This is being recorded Friday, January 9th, 2026. This week has been busy. Firstly, in media, Dan Bongino makes his return, arguably one of the biggest podcasts ever in political commentary. Some would say that he is or has been the mouthpiece for MAGA. He's the one who pushed and garnered so much support for President Trump. And he makes his return. His debut was as a guest on another show hosted on Rumble. And I'm going to play a little bit of that clip. We're going to go over people's reactions and feelings, etc. Secondly, and this is a hot one, Renee Nicole Good, shot and killed by an ICE agent, all while she was ignoring instructions, impeding traffic, and from the looks of it on the video, attempted to get away by accelerating her car right towards an ICE officer. Now, many will argue what I said is not what actually happened, even though everybody can see the same video footages that have been floating around from social media to major news networks. But regardless, this is a case of people seeing what they want to see. And in my opinion, it's really a case of left versus right, more my team versus your team. I hate Trump, so therefore this was wrong. It was Trump's fault because this is his administration. And so it goes on and on and on. But regardless, it is tragic. A mother died. Children are left without a mother. Whether or not she was conscious of her decision regarding her children at the time, maybe she did freak out. Who knows? Who knows what was going through her mind? But based on just the empirical evidence, the videos that are out there, it does tell a different story. Either way, this is sad. I'm not going to say it isn't. But ignoring law enforcement and continuing to operate your vehicle while being given instructions by law enforcement is a recipe for disaster. Then I will move on. The third topic of the day, Greenland. That's right. It's heating up between Donald Trump and, well, the Dutch, who currently have ownership or rule over Greenland, although Greenland in 2009 had achieved independent rule, but still answers to Greenland. I don't know if to like kick them back money or whatever. I'm not sure how it all works, to be quite honest. But either way, they're not a completely sovereign nation. They are still a part of the Dutch. And so this has been going back and forth. Honestly, Trump wanted to do this in his first term, but he's not the only president to try to purchase Greenland. Harry Truman also actually literally put in a bid to purchase Greenland. And we're going to go over what's happening there. But first, let's get back to Dan Bongino. A lot of mixed emotions here for a lot of people, a lot of mixed commentary. Some people feel betrayed by Dan Bongino. He was, again, as I said, one of the biggest voices when it came to the conservative side of things, more to the point, the mouthpiece of MAGA. And upon his return, I think he just expected everybody to have wide open arms and take him back. But the problem is he didn't really come through in his promises as deputy director of FBI. Now, him stepping down from a lucrative 15-year career as a broadcaster, well, really a radio personality and podcaster, that was a lot. That was a lot. He didn't need to. Apparently, Trump asked him to be deputy director of FBI, according to Dan Bongino, and he accepted. And I guess it came out that the intent was for him to literally serve a year. This wasn't going to be a career, for example. But regardless, the promises made, all the shit talking that Bongino did against exposing the swamp, destroying the deep state. He even in his podcast would ask, what about Epstein? What about arresting everybody involved in the Epstein case? Why aren't there any arrests? I'm going to uncover this. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to kick ass, take names, and I'm going to make this happen. Except he didn't. Except he tried to convince everybody that he watched the video of Epstein killing himself, made allegations that There's nothing there. Epstein killed himself. There was nothing involved. Nobody else was involved whatsoever. And he also said that there was just nothing there in the investigations, which I find hard to believe. America finds hard to believe. I mean, why does the FBI spend nearly 2 decades, like literally, like think about this, about 20 years investigating Epstein, spending all the money, the resources, the manpower to investigate this individual if there was nothing there? Like zero, nothing. If there was nothing there, they would have found that out a long time ago. It wouldn't have even taken them more than a year, maybe two at the most, just to be sure. But no, they spent 20 years investigating Epstein. And Dan Bongino claims there's nothing there. I don't know. Do you believe it? I kind of find it hard to believe. America finds it hard to believe. Now, there are people that say that his return behind the mic was much needed. It's a much needed voice, which I kind of find offensive, to be honest. There's many people who stepped up to take his place, many other conservative voices or really center voices that are much needed out there. People that are more, again, centrist. I guess I've been becoming that over the last few years here. And according to Bongino and everybody else, they call them black pillars. Why? Because we question both sides. We don't just accept the narrative. But according to Bongino, we're just a bunch of whiners. Like, what are you asking questions for? What side are you on? Well, to be honest, someone like me did vote for Trump. I liked Trump. I liked what he represented. He was different. He was against the system, against the grain. But here we are in a second term. And look, it hasn't even been a full year, so I understand that. I like a lot of what he's doing. Do I like everything he's doing? Hell no. And anybody in their right mind has the right to question the president, whether you voted for him or not. But I think you have more of a right if you voted for him because it's like you as an employer hiring someone who doesn't work out. What are you supposed to do? Just grin and bear it? Or do you cut them loose from the organization so that you can continue to be prosperous, profitable, and have, you know, a good workplace? So yeah, it's kind of like that with President Donald Trump. Again, do I like him? Yeah, I like his attitude. I like how he trolls people. Everybody does. It's funny. Come on, it's funny. And again, some of the things he's done. Look, whether or not you agree with how Venezuela was handled, for the misinformed out there, for the far leftists who can't see past the headlines, it was needed. That situation was left to fester for many, many, many years. It festered under Biden. Obama actually kind of took it serious, but then backed off. But he was more focused on the drug trade. But even Obama didn't do anything. Bush didn't do much of anything. And so over this time period, we allowed China in to slowly root themselves into our own hemisphere, create relationships right in our own backyard. I mean, Venezuela, if you look at the map, it ain't that far, right? It's right in our hemisphere right over there. And so the situation is this. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, did what he had to do. But at the same time, we have a right to question how he goes about things, whether or not he took the legal route, whether or not he made the correct decision in his planning and how he handled things like diplomatically. And so Dan Bongino has a problem with people like you and me or anybody who questions Donald Trump. Yes, he's my president, but Dan, you can't be a lemming. You can't just be a blind follower. Like we're not to just believe this guy for every single thing he said or says or does and just hold him up on a pedestal. I mean, that is literally like cult like behavior, right? I mean, that's literally a definition of what a cult does. It's all hail the leader, all is good, all is fine. Yes, we the sheeple believe in our supreme being or whatever the hell they call this person, for example. And when it comes to Donald Trump, it's not a cult. We're not in a cult. We can support Donald Trump and criticize him at the same time, Dan. So Dan Bongino's been getting a lot of pushback for the fact that he thinks you're either on board or you're out the door. And recently on social media, any person who questions him, and more to the point, if they question him about what happened with the Epstein file, he's blocking them. And for those who don't bother to have a social media account, like for example, you don't really care about X, which is where Bongino spends most of his time because most everything politics is on X. That means that you are not allowing that person to like or follow your content. You're not allowing that person to see your updates. Like you got to go out of your way to see their content, basically. You got to search for it. And once they block you, you're not getting it in your feed. Basically, the feed is everything that, the algorithm shows you based on what you supposedly like, which isn't really, accurate. But anyway, Bongino blocking everybody on social media, more to the point on X. He sounds a bit unhinged, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm here for it. I want to see where this goes because this is a redemption story. This is a story of someone who talked so much shit for 15 years, stepped down to be deputy director. He's like, watch this, hold my beer, look what I'm going to do. And he came out doing fuck all. Well, not completely true. He did a few things. I mean, let's just be honest. He did achieve a few things. But people are upset that he didn't do the big things that he was promoting and talking so much shit about for 15 years. And I think Dan has a long road ahead of him to redemption, but maybe not. I don't know. The news cycle's short. People do forget pretty quick. So we'll see where this goes. Anyway, I got a clip from him, his return to the microphone after nearly 15 years. Well, not 15 years. Actually, it's only been a year. He's been deputy director of the FBI. But here's that clip. I'm going to go ahead and switch over and play this for you. Let's go ahead and listen. We're going to listen on towards the end because this is where he says a few things that piss some people off. And, we're going to talk about it a bit. You form your own opinion, but here's Dan Bongino.
Coming to the end here, and I was going to ask you what you're most excited about to talk about on day one, but I feel like
I just kind of blew it. It was wait, we got to fuck you, Dan, in there. We got.
As I said, not everybody's happy.
Hey, you too, pal. I'm telling you, just wait. Just wait. This is going to be a glorious return. The Godfather's back. I promise. I promise. You have no idea. He is so back. How I wanted that Obamacare thing was driving me freaking bananas. I wanted to say something so bad, but when you're in there, Hatch Act stuff and all these other things, there was that. I also wanted to talk about tariffs, the border, especially the border. How this should be. I'm like blowing up my first show. I was like, hey, let's do 5 minutes.
We can leave it as a tease.
No, all right. I
maybe
gotta,
a message
now
to
I
the
can't
black
go to sleep
pillars,
tonight.
And then you can take us out.
I'll never get out of this one. The border being shut down should be like the biggest story ever. From like entire countries being imported into the United States in 2 to 4 weeks to almost zero should be the biggest story ever. And of course, the media just ignores it. And that's where I think, we were the bridge. And the black pillars out there, listen, guys, I'm not coming back to the Bongino Army. Again, said it 10 times. I'll say it 20 more. I love you guys. Actually love you guys. You've been with me through thick and thin. I've been doing this political commentary stuff since 2011. It's been 15 years. I've been through ups and downs. The Romney cycle, the DeSantis Trump cycle, the Cruz Rubio Trump cycle. I've been through Obama, Biden. I've been through all this stuff. The reason we've always been at the top of our game is we never sold out our principles ever. So when I come back, if it's going to be, endless complaining, then just don't watch. The shows, it's okay. This is a constitutional republic. You're not obligated to listen to my show. Justin, what was the line on the air with Jim? It's not a freaking airport, man. You don't have to announce your departure. You get these black pillars. The thing about black pillars, where everything sucks all the time, is they're like, well, we're demanding accountability, but you're not great. So am I. You're endlessly complaining about things you don't know anything about. That's all you do. He'll shut down the border, 10 people across the month. Why wasn't it 0? Okay, well, can you just acknowledge going from 1 million to 10 is a big deal? That way, and there's a cost to that. And the cost you see is in, polling numbers around the midterms. You can't let this negative vibe constantly set in. That doesn't mean healthy debates about policy are not welcome. Hey, I'm not a big tariff guy. I've said that 1,000 times. Debating policies are fine. I think a lot of the so-called damage from the terrorists was dramatically over-exaggerated. Even people who don't like them having to acknowledge that now. The economy's motoring, 4% growth. But the black pill complaining and whining all the time about the administration, it's just like, man, what team are you on? Holy Moses, man. So you don't have to watch. It's okay. There's a door. Go find the freaking exits, because I don't really give a shit. I'm not here for anybody's money or anything like that. I'm too old for that shit.
Well, we're all very excited to have you back. So I just want to say welcome back, welcome home, and thank you for your service. And thank.
All right, that's enough of that. Excuse me real quick. Sorry, guys. Okay, so again, he's making it very clear. He hates black pillars, or centrists, I guess. Sounds like he's shilling again for MAGA. He wants to poll for MAGA. I mean, I get what he's trying to do. He's saying, look, enough with the bullshit. Let's stick together. Let's get this conservative movement back together. Let's fix the division. And let's move forward as one people, one party. I understand it. I do. I understand it. But criticizing those who, as he says, were black-pilled, well, I mean, a lot of the black pilling actually came from you, Dan, when you were behind the mic before you left to become deputy director. You were the MAGA mouthpiece, but at the same time, the MAGA movement in the beginning was really the black pill movement. But now it's moved so far to the right. It's like I wouldn't necessarily call it extreme, but it's definitely pretty far from center at this point. Before it was a lot more center, and now it's kind of moved away from that. So yeah, you did lose some people along the way. And people are pissed. They want accountability. They absolutely do. If anything, Dan, here's the deal. I don't hate you. I just want you to know that. I don't hate Dan Bongino. I'm actually going to be watching a few of his episodes. I guess now they're going to be 2 hours. They're going to be 2 hours starting beginning of February. And no, I'm not promoting him. He's not paying me. But I'm just saying I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to give him a shot. And beyond that, I'm just going to let people know that I was never like an avid Bongino listener. Like, I didn't listen to the guy every day. It wasn't like, oh, there's the next Bongino episode. No, I did check in because, hey, he was a prominent voice on the right. I listened to some prominent voices on the left. I listened to some guys in the center. I mean, it's just good to get all the perspective. And Dan was good for that. But I'll give him a shot. Is he going to convince everybody to get back behind him? I don't know. Let's see how his first couple of episodes does. Well, actually, I think after his first one, I mean, that's really going to determine his popularity and whether or not people stick to it. But hey, let's go to what he's doing on social media here. His social media has been on fire. Here's Dan right now, and look, in this statement, I gotta absolutely agree with what he's saying here. I hope all of you can read this well enough on the screen. But here's what he's saying. And this is one of his most, actually, this post was January 7th, this week of this recording. So he's already back on social media. He's already making it very clear what he's about, and he's already going after people. And I agree with what he says here. So there's still a glimmer of hope for him. This is Dan. Digital AstroTurfing 101. If you're into gaslighting, black pilling, and bullshitting, one of the most efficient ways to do it is through digital astroturfing. Digital AstroTurf pros use a combination of bots, paid influence campaigns, and useful idiots to give the appearance of an authentic movement. It's a fraud. It's always been a fraud. I've been on and off this platform for 15 years, and I've seen it come and go. The platform he's referring to is X, everybody, if you can't tell by the screen. AstroTurf Zeros love to tell people to read the room. But when the room is actually read, they ignore it because the mask comes off. Even CNN was forced to acknowledge the divide is bullshit. Bottom line, friends don't let friends buy into black pill bullshit. Have a great day. All right. Well, look, I agree with some of what he said there. Okay. First off, yeah, digital astroturfing is a thing. I mean, you got prominent political commentators and influencers that definitely, I mean, the average person on the street doesn't even know who the fuck they are. I'm just going to be honest with you. They don't know who they are. They don't. And I'm referring to like guys like Dave Smith. I'm just going to throw Dave Smith out there because the next time I'm going to show you, apparently Dan Bongino is antagonizing Dave Smith and Dave Smith is trying to threaten him with, "Oh, come on a debate, I will smoke you," just as Dave Smith always does. But for those who don't know who Dave Smith is, you don't need to. Let's just be honest. He's just a hack comedian that, if it wasn't for Joe Rogan giving him props in his show, would still be struggling to fill, back alley rooms somewhere. But anyway, Dave Smith is under fire from Dan. Dave is firing back. And again, this is the whole thing that Dan was trying to talk about with the fake divide. It's all very surface level. It's all very surface level because people like, again, Dave Smith, like the following, the praise, the adoration. Like, you put one post out and all of a sudden, oh, look, 1 million people saw what I had to say. And all I did was say I like black shoelaces versus white shoelaces. It's all bullshit. And so Dan's saying, look, this isn't the real world. Everything you're seeing on social media, outside of social media, doesn't matter. This isn't the real vibe. This isn't the pulse. So I do agree with Dan a lot of that. But attacking black pillars, so to speak, people who just finally just threw their hands up and said, fuck both sides. I'm out. I'm here. A lot of these people are America first. I'm America first. I'm not America only, but I'm America first. You can't be criticizing those people because those people were literally your fucking audience. And they loved you until you didn't come through after you left to become the deputy director of the FBI. I'm sorry, Dan. Whether you liked it or not, that is the damn truth. And you know it. And you know it. You do. So let's go to this next post and let me show you some of the. Actually, I actually like Dan for this. And here we go. So Dave Smith responds to a post that Dan put. And what's funny out there is Dan Bongino never even mentioned Dave Smith, but Dave automatically assumed who it was he was talking about because Dave is that self-important. So let me click this so we can look at the post that triggered this whole thing. And it's still going on, by the way, people. I mean, if you're an ex person, I mean, if you're listening to me, you probably do know who Dave Smith is and all these people are. The rivalry is, it's crazy, the back and forth. But, let's just be honest. Dan, at his level and everything, who's Dave? Let's just be honest. So anyway, here's the post that started it all here. So Dan Bongino, the lib black pillar symbiote is a funny little organism. It's even led by a comedian. Now, we know he's talking about Dave Smith, but I mean, let's just be honest. He never said his name, but somehow Dave knew. He goes on to say, these morons can't even follow their own battle plan. Quick example. I do a guest hit last night on a podcast, and the LBP symbiote starts rage tweeting. No one is going to watch. When it was the #1 live stream in its slot, the LBP symbiote melted down again, claiming, oh, that was just us there to attack you. Dan Bongino goes on to say, do these clowns know how this business works? And when you point out here on X what a bunch of dipshits they are, they start rage engaging again. I've been dealing with these tools for 15 years, and this is why they always implode. They just too stupid to coordinate. Today's lesson is concluded. Thanks for reading. Go. Yes. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Ever since I got sick in December 23rd, I just have this lingering cough that's not really going away. So if I cough once in a while, I am not trying to blow your eardrums out. I just kind of unavoidable. So apologies. Anyway, getting back to, let's see Dave's response. So Dave goes, yeah, nice story. Why did you lie through your teeth about Epstein? So here's what Dan says. Hilarious that you not only missed the news cycle for the past year, but that you also knew you were the moron referenced in the post, watching you advertise your dipshittery on a series of debates over the past year was my guilty pleasure while I was working. Now go back to your mama's spare room, write me some jokes, and get your shine box too. My shoes got a scuff last night while lighting up the live stream while your clowns were rage posting. Thanks, Dan. Oh. If you're into the drama and the soap opera of politics or American politics, I mean, there you go. It's on display. But what does this prove? Should Dan be taking the high road? Should Dan be dressing everybody and explaining himself? Should Dan Bongino not be saying, hey, look, I understand you felt like I let you down. I understand I didn't come through. Dan should be saying this. He can go ahead and talk about all of his achievements and accomplishments, but which he had some, but the major ones, he needs to come clean on. And if he couldn't do anything, he could just say it. Say, look, when you're on the other side of the curtain, it's not as easy as it seems. I thought I would be able to go in there and make things happen, but there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers, and there was a lot going on. And as much as I tried to push for it, we just couldn't make it happen. And he could say this, but he won't. He won't. He's too prideful. And he probably thinks that if he says that, it'll just, further implicate Donald Trump in covering this whole thing up. So, maybe he's protecting Trump and not trying to say anything. But the truth is, Dan just needs to come clean and say, I couldn't do anything. And that's it. But anyway, look, Dan's back. I'm going to listen to a few of his episodes, see what's happening. And this will be one to watch because, look, this will be the redemption story of redemption stories after everything that has happened. All right, well, that's enough about Danny Bongino. Well, that's just what I call him, but no, it's Dan Bongino. Let's go on to what happened in Minnesota. Renee Nicole Good, shot dead. This one is dividing the country. It's dividing the world. And, and I got to be honest, I have a bunch of people from overseas, commentators, political personalities, influencers, that are so critical of the U.S. I mean, they got TDS so bad, Trump derangement syndrome so bad, that they sit here and they talk about the USA, what goes on in the USA, and how Trump handles things in the USA, more than they focus on their own country. Marina Purkis or whatever the hell her last name is. I guess she's a UK darling, at least something she is. And she always has a lot to say. But I mean, she literally lives in the UK, is a political commentator, and about 99% of everything she says is about Donald Trump. I mean, obsessed much, right? And she put out a post about what happened. And of course, it was twisted with, an extreme leftist side. Great. Of course, I had to respond. But I mean, here's the reality. For everybody that criticizes what's happening here, that is not here. Like, look, I talk about geopolitics, but I don't focus on a specific country and constantly just pick apart their politics. But Marina, Purkis, whatever the fuck your last name is, here's the deal. And all you people, worry about your own fucking country a little bit, huh? I mean, the UK is literally slipping into being and becoming like the real life representation of George Orwell's 1984, like literally in front of our eyes. And you choose to ignore that story. You choose to stand up for your own country and instead focus on Donald Trump. I mean, yeah, there's an issue there. But getting back to Minneapolis. So this incident involved ICE agents who were doing their jobs. They were there enforcing laws, United States laws, by the way, federal laws. And in the course of this in Minneapolis, there has been major protests that have been trying to impede their duties. They're getting in the way. There are protesters that are, after this whole thing went down, actually before, that were calling for killing other ICE agents. Like literally a call to arms to kill the ICE agents because they're disruptive to America. They're the Stasi. They're the Nazi regime. Everything's being thrown around. And the words being slinged around right now just don't even have any meaning anymore because it's all bullshit. I mean, the fact that people are upset about the Trump administration enforcing actual U.S. laws and policy when it comes to immigration and border patrol, I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. It's like, what do you stand for? Who do you represent? The United States of America or just yourself? Just your group, your subculture. I mean, this isn't the land of anybody do whatever the fuck they want and represent what they want. No, this is the land of come together, live as Americans. You have a right to all of our laws as an American, and you are to support America. That's it. And if you're doing anything else, why don't you just register as a fucking foreign agent? Just make it clear. But anyway, I digress. I know I'm not supposed to be so biased and give you so much opinions and commentary. I'm trying to give you more of the news this year, but regardless, kind of hard to not have an opinion when you got so much dumb fuckery floating around out there. But anyway, let me get over to the video here. The video that somehow everybody saw differently. I really don't understand it. So here we are. In this video, I'm going to blow this up so you can actually see it pretty well. This is the video footage. And for anybody just listening to audio, I'm going to tell you right now, there are some times when my show is out there that you really do have to watch the video side. There's usually a link to the video portion of this episode on my website. Just go to worldablazepodcast.com, go to episodes, and usually I will have the YouTube link up there. And if you just want to go straight to YouTube, fine, you can do that as well. Search for World Ablaze with George Fonts. My handle is @FontsAblaze, so you should be able to find me there. If you're a Spotify listener or user of that app, I do also upload the video portion of these episodes on Spotify. So you got a few ways to watch this if you want to. I encourage you to. I'm even on Rumble. I don't really push Rumble, but for those who are Rumble users, you can find me there too. But anyway, I said all that because I'm going to do my best to explain this, narrate this without stepping over the audio that's been recorded. But I do encourage you to watch this because you have to physically see the position of the ICE agents. You have to physically see what's happening to take this in. And I'm going to show a few different videos that have different angles. And then we can walk away from this forming our own opinions on the matter. But here we go. So here's the first video. All right, so what happened is this SUV, there's the gunshots.
Oh my fucking God! What the
Let me pause that. I'm going to back this up a bit, actually. So what happened there is, and this isn't the full video, this whole confrontation was actually about 4 minutes long. So it wasn't as if it was like a quick, oh, look at this person. It wasn't like a 20-second, we're just going to walk up and pull a gun out on this person. No, it was about a 4-minute altercation here. So I backed the video up a little bit. What happened is this lady was driving, Nicole Goodman was driving a, looks like a maroon Honda Pilot SUV. And she pulled out into the road. Now, the video doesn't show the very beginning of it, but the ICE agents were driving. They had their lights on. They were going down the road. And multiple people were trying to cut them off and slow them down. She pulled out with her car across the road, literally impeding traffic. Now, for those who aren't watching the video, I encourage you again to watch it because a lot of people try to say, well, she wasn't blocking traffic. There were cars that could have got around her on both sides. But if you watch the video that I'm playing here from this episode right now, you can clearly see that she was pulling out from the shoulder, literally blocks the lane in which the ICE agents are driving down. And the only other vehicle that got around her was one that was trying to get ahead and get out and cut her off. You can see that she was clearly pulling across the street to block traffic or impede it. Now, when the ICE agents stopped to get out and address this, instead of heeding their warnings, listening to instructions, she continues to operate the vehicle. In fact, she continues to operate it when an ICE agent literally puts his hand on the door. There's already people touching her car. I mean, officers already touching her car, people around her car trying to talk to her, get her out of the vehicle, and she continues to operate it. She puts it in reverse, turns the wheel, and tries to speed off right through an ICE agent, which at that time was in front of the vehicle. In the beginning, he wasn't, but when she turned her wheel to turn and veer out to get away, she veered into the ICE agent. That is what happened. That's what I'm explaining. And if you see something else, I don't understand how you saw something else. We can talk about how she was a mother, how a child lost a mother, how she had, plush animal toys in her glove box, the whole deal. But regardless, she made the decision that put her in the situation where she unfortunately lost her life. Should the ICE agent have shot her? I can't answer that because here, these things are split decisions, right? And for anybody who has never, ever had a weapon pulled on them, even a baseball bat, knife, it doesn't even have to be a gun. If you've never been under the pressure of trying to defend yourself where someone else has a weapon that if they wield it can literally kill you, then sit this one out. You really don't know what you're talking about. You don't have time to sit there, mull it over, spend a good 20, 30 minutes and go over all the moral implications and what would happen if you did this or that. No, it's about survival. It's an instinct. It's either you or them, unfortunately. And at this point, you can say that Nicole didn't have a weapon, but the car was absolutely being used as a weapon. I mean, we're talking about a multi-ton vehicle, 2 to 3,000 pounds. So we're, at least what, a ton and a half, maybe. And this thing is like barreling at you, and you're telling me that, oh, it's no big deal, just take it, brush it off. Have you ever seen what happens to somebody who gets hit by a vehicle going like 20, 30 miles an hour? I mean, at 60 miles an hour, 100 miles, like you'll just disintegrate, man. You're going to become jello. You're not surviving. So the reality is, a lot of people are talking against the Trump administration because how ICE handled the situation. They handled the situation just as any peace officer would have handled the situation, any CHP officer. This is what would have happened. So anyway, I want to play this again so you can get another shot at this. I'm going to change angles.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God! What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It is. I'm not saying it isn't. It's unfortunate. I mean, a mother died. But why did she make the decision to run through an ICE agent to get away? Like, you can clearly hear the ICE agents like, get out of the car. More specific, get out of the fucking car. Like, get out of the car. Because she was impeding them. There was an ICE agent on either side of the vehicle. There's an ICE agent off to the side of the vehicle, like the driver's side, kind of off to the front. And then when she made the turn of the wheel to get away and zoom out, she literally, like, you can see the vehicle where the ICE agent was physically forced as the vehicle brushed or hit him. I think he just got out of the way just in time. But he was physically hit. And if he didn't do what he did, he would have been ran over. Here's another clip. And this is from CNN. Let me blow this one up for you guys too. Good old Andy Cooper here, Anderson Cooper. He's going to give his little commentary. But, this other angle here has a better view of the position of the ICE officer or agent that actually shows him to be in front of the vehicle when she was trying to get away. And you can clearly see how the vehicle was turned into his direction. So I'm going to play this for you as well.
CNN has obtained some new video. Again, it's grainy and distant, but it shows 4 full minutes leading up to the shooting. It shows Renee Good's maroon Honda Pilot entering from the right there. Then 20 seconds later, someone gets out on the passenger side. We don't know who or why this person leaves the car. We then see her turn and pull perpendicular across the street, seeming to block the way. But as you see here, leaving room for vehicles to pass by her on either side.
Okay, so first off, that wasn't necessarily true. The vehicle that passed behind her was actually another ICE agent because she was blocking traffic. And so the other vehicle that actually went around the backside, which was actually the shoulder, it wasn't an actual road or a roadway to drive on, was another ICE agent. So he gets on the other side. He gets out of his car on the passenger side. The other ICE agent is in the truck that got stopped due to her impeding traffic. And then they get out of their vehicle. So that's what happens here. So just going to correct little Andy Cooper's commentary here.
Finally, there is this new angle of the federal officer who shot her. He arrives. Another federal SUV pulls up. As the ICE officer briefly goes back to his car, then he returns, and with another agent grabbing at her door, she starts to move forward. Again, it's hard to see from this angle, followed by 3 gunshots in quick succession. 4 minutes in all from start to finish. But for all the video that may reveal, it says nothing about why Renee Good was where she was or what she was doing there. And it's not all we don't know.
As the vehicle passes, you can see the dark-colored SUV driven by Renee Nicole Good. That's on the right there in the back. The surveillance video taken by a home nearby. Agents can be seen milling about near the vehicle, then converging on it. And then you see right there the SUV begins to move, and that's when the shots are fired.
And so in that video, you can clearly see as she turned her vehicle to get away, she was veering into or aiming her vehicle at the ICE agent who was off to the side of the vehicle. But when she turned her wheel to get away is when she directed her vehicle at the ICE agent. So Sad, yes. Should it have happened? No. And those decisions made on both sides, we can argue were wrong. But again, when you got, a vehicle weighing a ton and a half or more barreling at you, what are you supposed to do? You can try to get away. He could have kept it holstered. It looked like he had the means to get out of the way, but then she's also using the vehicle as a weapon. And at this point, she is a person that is now going to be or was about to be under arrest for what she was doing. And so, where do we draw the line here? Where do we draw the line here? I mean, do the ICE agents have a right to protect themselves or not? Or are they just supposed to, be harmed? Are they there to just be spit on and harmed and, beaten and not respond at all? I mean, look, they do have a responsibility. They are armed. They're armed. And for the most part, the protests and protesters that we've seen have not been armed. But aiming a vehicle at someone and trying to drive through them is a violent, intentional action. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. I want you to form your own opinion. You don't have to. You don't have to believe, my take, for example. But the evidence is clear. I mean, the video is there. Watch it. If you see something different, I don't know how you're gonna see something different. But hey, form your own opinion on this. Now, after this happens, good old disgraced Governor Tim Walz, he had something to say specifically towards the federal government, towards Donald Trump. Here's Tim Walz and his response.
And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi, Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary.
Hold on. Tim Walz just said he issued a warning order. The National Guard are ready, and he has military personnel ready to deploy. Is he threatening the federal government? Is he creating or declaring Minnesota an autonomous state? Like, what's going on here, Tim? Like, what are you saying? All right, let's continue to play. Let's continue here on.
I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community. They're business owners. They're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information.
All right, anyway, Timmy. Yeah, so that sounds like direct threats from a state to the rest of the union or from a state directly to the federal government, saying the National Guard is our National Guard, basically telling Donald Trump and the administration, well, the National Guard is the army, the military of Minnesota, and we will do as we see fit to fight the federal government, and you are no longer welcome here. Well, what comes along with that, little Tim, is you would have to become sovereign, or you would have to be autonomous, and you would have to forego all the support the federal government has to offer you, including military protection from foreign agents, from other countries, no more federal funding. I mean, I'm not sure Minnesota has enough going on to stand on its own. Let's just be really honest here. But that's Tim's response. So, that's what are we going to do with these people, huh? What are we going to do with these people? I mean, that right there is a message to people to pick up arms and fight back. And he's not saying it directly, but he's saying it. Like, you hear that, right? I'm not trying to convince you to hear that. Like, if you have any reasoning ability up in your brain, if you have at least two hamsters running on the wheels, you can see through what he's saying. You can hear exactly what he's saying. He's saying, fuck the federal government. We're going to fight them. They're not welcome here. And we will use force if necessary. That's what he said. In a, nice little Tim Waltzy way. But that's what he said. Such a strong leader, right? Anyway, and so after all of that, here come the protests. And again, I don't know if this situation is going to be the situation that pushes us into an actual civil war. But man, after hearing some of what's going on, in the protests, what's being said, it really does make you wonder. Here's, I believe, New York City. Here's a protest in New York City. And what I want you all to do is pay attention, listen to what they're saying. All right, first off, they're chanting, Kristi Noem will hang. So they're calling for the hanging of Kristi Noem. Let me continue this.
Save our life, kill and ice. Save our life, kill and ice. Save our life, kill and ice. Save our life, kill and ice.
There you go. Save a life, kill an ice. And I paused it right here. You can read the sign for mass workers' actions to stop the deportation. Sorry, if I couldn't see it from here. So anyway, they're claiming to wanting to stop the deportations. They're calling for the hanging of Kristi Noem, and they're calling for the killing of ICE agents. Wonderful people, right? Save a life, kill an ICE. Save a life, kill an ICE. Hang Kristi Noem. And that's why, you know, messages like Tim Walz, whether he says it forcefully, uses expletives, anything like that, doesn't really matter. The message was heard. It's an incitement against the United States of America. And people are being riled up for the federal government literally enforcing laws, for enforcing policy. Is it sad that Nicole died, that she was killed? Yeah. Yeah, no one should have died there. But was it evidently, obviously stupid of her to not listen to the ICE agents? Was it dumb to put her vehicle directly in the way of their traffic, of their duties? You know, there's video where they have some enhanced audio where they're trying to say, she's telling them, oh, go ahead, go around. And then when she says that, she continues to inch and move forward. And the bigger question here is like, well, who was the passenger that got out of her car? Because I don't know if I played it in this video, but there's other videos floating out there where you can see the passenger gets out, walks to the curb or you know, to the shoulder, pulls out the phone and starts filming immediately. Filming what? If she's literally just innocently trying to leave because she dropped someone off, why is that person filming the altercation? Why? Because she intended to do what she did. And unfortunately, she died. Again, I'm not cheering her death, but I'm very sorry to offend you, but this is a big fuck around and find out moment. It really is. And so with that, there are more protests out there. There are protests that continue to call for the death of ICE agents. I have another one here. I'll play the beginning of it. And you can clearly hear where they're saying, you're going to die. We're going to kill you. And this is at an ICE facility, or I mean, they're protesting them right there, threatening their life, telling them they're going to kill them. Like, what is America coming to? Like, what are these people? I mean, are they? It makes you wonder. Like, are they paid to do this? Is this intentional? Do they really care? Do they really care? Or are they just taking this opportunity to stir the pot and continue to divide people? You know, look, there's definitely a concerted effort to destroy America from within. And everything that's been happening lately, it's like, you know, we're not going to waste an opportunity, right? I mean, look at it. Here's the deal. It was free Palestine. And then it was save Venezuela, let Maduro go. And now it's kill ICE and hang Kristi Noem. They're just going to the next thing that they can latch onto. The thing that's hot now that they continue to spin and spin and spin and stir and stew up that big meal that they're cooking in that pot, which is intended for you to consume, to further enrage you and engage in division. And that's exactly what's going on here. Was it unfortunate that Nicole Good was killed? Yeah. But was it also stupid she made the decision that she did? Yes. Is there a right answer here? Well, I'm not sure that we have a right answer, but by the letter of the law, listen to the police officers, listen to law enforcement, and don't try to kill them with your vehicle. That's it. That's all I got. You don't have to agree with me. You can form your own opinion, but that's the deal. All right, so moving on. Let's talk Greenland. Trump's at it again. He wants Greenland. It's been heating up. Here we go. A little bit of a ABC News headline here. Trump says U.S. will do something on Greenland whether they like it or not. President Donald Trump continued to press the U.S. control of Greenland. Greenland says they're not for sale. And when asked on Friday for how much money he believed it would take to get Greenland on board with his proposal, Trump said, "I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that." He said, "I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way." So, what are Trump's intentions? I mean, is he going to forcefully take Greenland by using our military? Does he want to make a deal? I mean, the thing that happened with Venezuela, I agree with. Like, that needed to happen. But this here, I understand the strategic play here. I mean, realistically, Greenland's been kind of under our military protection. I mean, they're right here in our backyard. In fact, they were for many. I don't know if they still are, but here's the deal. I think the right approach here is to have a strategic relationship in which we can continue to use their island for installing, our base, continue to have a military presence in the region because, we need to. But threatening to just take Greenland, like if we can't reach a deal, I'm just going to take it. I don't know if I side with that, but I get it. I do. I mean, I understand it. Their strategic position geographically, their resources, like everything is there. The Danish, the Dutch, I mean, what have they done though? What are they doing? They're supposedly protecting Greenland, but I mean, they're so far away, they can't even do anything. For the most part, we're the ones who protect Greenland, the United States of America. So in doing so, does it not make sense for Greenland to be a part of the USA? I mean, it does on paper, but Greenland doesn't agree. See, the thing with Greenland is they want to be sovereign. They want to be able to be recognized as their own sovereign nation. I get it. They are their own people, and they won the right or achieved the right to self-rule in 2009, meaning that the Danes or the Dutch don't have any say in how they run things, but somehow they still, again, I said that what they kick back money, or like, I'm not sure the relationship there. Like, why? What's going on? I don't get it. But regardless, it does kind of make more sense for them to be a part of the U.S., or if they are autonomous, to be or sovereign, to have an extremely close relationship with the United States of America. I mean, let's just be honest. So here's the video of Trump saying basically a bit of what I read from that news article. Here's Trump in his own words.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
He's right. He's right in what he said. If we don't do something, Russia or China will. China was already doing it in the Caribbean over there. They're already doing it with Venezuela, with Peru, with Panama, with Brazil. Um, they were doing it. They were slowly making the rounds over time, investing, propping them up, putting money into infrastructure, setting up operations. Russia was doing the same thing, but not to the extent China was. And it's very true that the next target for a strategic position, geographically in terms of military presence or the ability to react and respond to the United States of America would be what? Greenland. That would be it. Greenland. So they're not going to come in and try to force their way into taking over, let's say, Hawaii or Alaska, even though Russia's made it very clear, or Putin made it very clear that he would like to have Alaska as part of Russia once again. But that's not going to happen. They know they can't directly go after strategic parts of our nation. They can't. They know that. They can't just go in and try to steamroll the United States as a whole and say, we now rule this section and this is ours. It's not going to happen. But Greenland is, it's an island nation. It's under Dutch rule, but they self-govern. They don't really have a military. So they're kind of sitting ducks out there. They're rich in resources and, again, a very, very strategic position geographically. So who better to have a relationship or have them under the wing of the United States other than Greenland? I mean, they should be a part of the United States, right? Makes sense. But Greenland also has a right to decide. Or do they? The Dutch are ignoring them. In fact, the Dutch are in negotiations with Trump, and apparently Marco Rubio is going to be there in a week or so to discuss the fate of Greenland. So do Greenlanders have a say? Do they really? I don't know. It's like they're being treated as a bargaining chip here. And I'm not sure what the outcome's going to be. I got another clip here, and this is of Marco Rubio confirming Trump's intentions. So let me go ahead and play that here.
What? Buy Greenland? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers this week?
Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that has examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there. But so I just reminded them of the fact that not only did Truman want to do it, but President Trump's been talking about this since his first term. What?
He's right, though. And this isn't the first time the United States of America anyway, made a run at Greenland. So here's a bit of a kind of little bit of history. And I got this from, it's called Nordics Info. I want to read some of this. So, and their article or their paper that they wrote is titled Buying Greenland, Trump, Truman, and the Pearl of the Mediterranean. In the summer of 2009, the Trump administration voiced an interest in buying Greenland from Denmark. The historical background for this stretches at least as far back as a case brought by Norway at the International Court in 1933, when it was decided that Denmark had full sovereignty over Greenland. Since then, Danish governments have engaged in reformulations and renegotiations with respect to Greenland's sovereign rule, including the 1979 Home Rule Agreement and self-rule in 2009. It is arguable, however, that the U.S. had de facto sovereignty for periods of the 20th century. For example, a defense pact in 1941 allowed the U.S. extensive rights to military bases in Greenland in exchange for military protection while mainland Denmark was occupied by Germany. This led to the Truman administration making an actual bid to purchase the world's largest island in 1946. During the Cold War, Denmark relied on the U.S. to defend Greenland. Because even then, during the Cold War, there was the threat of Russia taking over Greenland. Because again, it's a strategic geographic location to the United States. So it goes on to say, while today, after obtaining self-rule in 2009, it is recognized that Greenland has the right to become independent if it so wishes, questions of its sovereignty remain. These were highlighted by the recent diplomatic spat between Trump and the Danish Prime Minister, indicating that the sovereignty issue will continue to be contested and pose a considerable challenge, even for a fully dependent Greenland of the future. And so here's some other reports of what's happening here between Denmark, Greenland, whatever. Sorry, Greenland. I said Greenland. Apologies. And so here's this article. Ground news. I get a lot of unbiased ground. Well, they're not unbiased. What they do is they report all sides, so left, right, and then they try to explain the bias in the story. But for the most part, they try to give you, or what I look for is a more central viewpoint of delivering the news. So it's not trying to steer you one way or the other. So here it is. Denmark, Greenland envoys met with White House officials over Trump's call for a takeover. So on Thursday, this Thursday of this week, by the way, so that would be January 7th, 2026. On Thursday, Denmark's ambassador to the U.S. and their chief representative to Washington met White House National Security Council officials in Washington, D.C., seeking clarity on U.S. policy towards Greenland and noting Denmark's recent $4 billion Arctic security investment. President Donald Trump has renewed interest in acquiring Greenland, saying ownership is what I feel is psychologically needed for success, while White House officials discuss purchase or military options, citing rare earth reserves of 1.5 million metric tons and Patufic Space Base. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. White House press officials said Carolyn Leavitt, White House press secretary, confirmed the administration is actively discussing purchase options, citing Pacific Space Base role in U.S. and NATO missile warning and space surveillance missions. Denmark and allies warn a U.S. takeover would end NATO, which Denmark helped create more than 70 years ago, and reaffirmed Greenland's future must be decided by its people. And it goes on to say what I said earlier. Next week, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will meet Danish officials as U.S. lawmakers and aides continue talks amid concerns raised by the recent U.S. military raid in Caracas and Pentagon shifts involving Greenland to U.S. Northern Command. So there you have it. Greenland stuck in the middle between the Danes and the United States of America. We don't know what's going to happen. Now, the Danes have said Greenland's not for sale. It's not going to happen. But then they're going ahead and they're going to go ahead and meet with Trump to negotiate. And then Rubio is going to go over there to Denmark to talk to them about the future of Greenland. I mean, it's kind of confusing. I mean, are the Danes standing up for Greenland or are they not? Are they going to cave to the pressure? Like, I don't know what's going on. And look, the statement about ending NATO, I mean, seriously, the U.S. has been calling for that for a long time. At least a lot of people in the United States, a lot of citizens of the United States have been calling for that for a long time because there's no longer a benefit. There really isn't. But hey, whatever Denmark wants to do. So what do the Greenlanders say? What do the people of Greenland say? Well, Greenland official wants talks with U.S. without Denmark. So in this report, Greenland wants to meet, or they're trying to push to meet, to talk with Trump with Denmark out of the picture. Like, look, we can speak for ourselves. We want to talk to the president directly. We want to talk to the United States of America because we have our own concerns. We want to self-govern. We want to be able to have this discussion. And they have every right to. So this is interesting. I'm going to continue to monitor this. I encourage all of you to monitor us because this is 2026 is going to be a big year. Look, Maduro's been removed. The Western Hemisphere is or the south part of the Western Hemisphere, Southcom. Anyway, that area has been reclaimed by the U.S. The Monroe Doctrine is back, baby. And now President Trump has his eye on Greenland, which has been under the eye of the United States for a very, very long time. Even President Truman made a bid for Greenland due to its strategic position and resources. And hell, as I read earlier, the United States has been protecting Greenland for years, militarily, for years. So, do you agree? Let me know. Me, bit undecided. I'm not gonna lie, a bit undecided. I get the play, I do, but Trump is right. If not us, then it will be Russia, or it will be China. And honestly, I'm leaning more towards Russia. I can see them doing this. They've tried before. So, anyway, with that, I'm going to leave you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the show. And if anything, this is what I ask of you for 2026. You listen to me, you watch me. I want you to spread the word. I want you to share the show with others, because the goal this year is to build the show bigger and bigger, maybe even double. I mean, look, I appreciate the support. I'm going to my 3rd year. I appreciate everybody who listens. Let's grow this thing. And with that being said, you guys have a nice day.
Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell.